We won't hold up the start here, but I want to welcome our presenters this evening. I'm Tom Richards. I work with the Friends of the Library, and also you might see me at the information desk in the adult section once in a while. But welcome our presenters from Emmet County's outstanding recycling program. We have Andy Tolsdorf and Noel Bailing. And Andy is the director for Emmet County Recycling, and Noel is communication and education coordinator. And after experiencing recycle programs downstate, when I came north to work in Harbor Springs, I was very impressed with the services and the operations that Emmet County had to offer. Impressed is probably a modest word. I was kind of shocked at what I saw. So I became even more impressed as I learned more about their services. So tonight, Michigan's recycling rate has increased in the recent years, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And Andy and Noel are going to help us learn about the circular economy of recycling. And we'll learn about how Emmet County developed a comprehensive, convenient, and cost-effective program that has been very successful for the last 30 years. And it's a little bit different than what we see here in Charlevoix County, but this was something that interested the board on the Friends, and so I wanted to ask them to come and educate us.
Yeah, we're happy to be here, so thanks for having us. And this can be a discussion, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or just ask a question and we can have discussions. We do have some slides just as kind of talking points, but if you guys could think of any questions or have anything that you want to ask, feel free to ask those questions. I'm also going to say, like Tom said, we're Emmet County Recycling. Charlevoix's program is quite a bit different than ours, and we can't speak to Charlevoix County specific questions, so we can share with you what we do and maybe some bigger picture recycling topics. So we're Emmet County Recycling. Our mission is to provide opportunities and education for employees, residents, businesses, and neighboring communities to reduce waste, reuse, recycle, and properly dispose of materials in order to preserve the natural beauty of our northern Michigan community. So in 1979, we were just that transfer station up in that picture. So just one little transfer station, we collected garbage. In 1990, our first director was hired, so that was Elisa Seltzer, and she was hired to build this program, and she successfully did build this program. So as you can see in the 1991, so 1990 to 1991 was the only year that we took any county tax dollars. So we're currently self-sufficient, so we are responsible for all of our own revenues and all of our own expenses through the county. So no millages or anything for our program. The next slide shows, so we do a lot of things. So we're dual stream recycling. So here in Charlevoix, everything goes into one bin. We actually ask in Emmet County that you separate your materials. So we are dual stream, which we'll get into that in a little bit of more of the details of that. We collect curbside recycling from both residents and businesses in our area. We have 12 recycling drop sites. We have a big super drop-off site. We do commercial food scrap collection from about 40 businesses. We have a compost facility on site, a garbage transfer station. We do 2 to 3 household hazardous waste events a year. We provide event recycling, and hub and spoke recycling means we provide recycling for other counties. So right now, both Sheboygan and Presque Isle counties contract with us, and we process their material.
Andy, what is event recycling?
So if somebody's hosting an event, they can contact us, and we have portable bins that we can bring to the event. So Bliss Fest is our biggest one. So we do all the garbage and recycling for Bliss Fest, but it's as small as people who are having weddings or just a small gathering can rent bins from us, or lease bins from us, or borrow bins from us. We do have, like we do the big soccer tournament in Petoskey. We have a trailer that we drop there, and they fill it, and then we come and pick it up at the end of the weekend. So different services for different events.
What was the hub and spoke again?
So we process for other counties. So Sheboygan County, they have their own bins and their own driver, and they bring their bins and drop them at our facility, and we just do the processing of the recyclable materials for them. Presque Isle County, they actually contract out with another third party to own the bins and the trucks, and they also bring their material to us and we process it for them.
So you could, in theory, process Charlevoix.
Yes, we used to do Charlevoix. That ended in, I don't know if anyone in here knows the exact time, but 2012?
Yeah, 14 something.
2012, 2014, something like that was when we stopped with Charlevoix. So the dual stream, our paper boxes and bags goes into one bin, mixed containers are the other bin. The reason that we are dual stream is because for us, when we collect all the materials, like I mentioned, we are an enterprise fund. We're responsible for all of our own revenues and expenses. When we sort out all the material, we can actually sell the material for a lot higher value because it's dual stream. So it's coming in cleaner. So paper boxes and bags, traditionally anything that goes in that stream stays clean and dry. Anything that goes in the container stream is wet. So if it's all mixed together, the stuff that's could be in your milk jug or wine bottle could contaminate some of the paper or cardboard and just lower the value of it a little bit. So for us, it really does help us keep our revenues higher. So hot off the press. So this was just released in the last week or two, and this is something that's relevant to any recycling program. So I'm not sure if you've seen labels like this on your cereal boxes or any kind of packaging, even like laundry detergent bottles, stuff like that. So this is a new label that they're starting to release. Before it just said check locally or yes recyclable, not recyclable. So they've just partnered with a big national database that tracks every single program and what's accepted and what's not. So now you can scan this QR code and when it'll bring up a website where you put in your zip code and it will tell you whether it's recyclable locally or not. So you're welcome to try this one if you want to give it a shot. I'm not sure Charlevoix County what is updated in the database or not, but I think this was off of a Silk soy milk box. And so this is something that's pretty new and exciting because it's really the first label or the first type of education where it directs you back to your local program specifically to say whether something is or is not recyclable.
Let's see, got a couple of
Does participating in this cost a lot?
No, so it's actually, so the recycling partnership is an industry group that they're actually the ones collecting all of the data, so they're not charging any of the counties for that. And then the brands themselves are the ones that are partnering with the How to Recycle label, and they're the ones that are choosing to put it on their packaging. And there's over 800 brands that have signed on to it already.
Is there a government incentive behind all this to help to get this rolled out?
Not at this time. In 5 states, there are new laws to incentivize recycling. And I think a lot of the big brands are seeing that these types of laws are being introduced in states and know it's coming. So a lot of the big brands are really taking the initiative to go a step ahead and sign on to it before they actually have to do anything like this.
Charlevoix doesn't have their influence.
Okay, good to know. And so we just within our industry, we've got a couple regional meetings coming up. So that's maybe something we can discuss at the regional meeting is helping other communities on how they can input their information into that. Absolutely. So curbside recycling, these are just the municipalities. So we're not in all of Emmet County. We're just in the Harbor and Petoskey areas where there's population density. So the way that the curbside recycling works in our communities is the townships or the city or village pays for the cost of the curbside for their residents. So residents aren't signing on individually, the township is paying for it. So if you live in a township or city or village that pays for it, you get a bin and all you have to do is set the bin out weekly and we come and pick it up. So we're not subscription based. If our trucks drive down every road and when they see bins, they pick them up. So some of the hot tips that we like to give for education wise is bag your bags. We do accept plastic bags in our program. So one way that we can manage that and prevent them from flying all around is put them all in one bag, tie it shut, And then it's it's not just a plastic bag that's flying around. Keep them loose. So we ask you to bag your bags, but then everything else we want loose. And that's pretty standard for a recycle program as well. Yes?
On the bins that come to the house that you pick up, do the people separate them into two separate piles?
Yes. Yep. So every house has 2 bins.
Oh, 2 bins.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
So keep them loose. So just in general, that is a good rule of thumb for recycling is keep your materials loose. Don't bag it when you're putting it in your bins, even at the drop sites as well. Cardboard, just keep it small. Bigger cardboard or bigger boxes that are not broken down take up a lot of space in the bins. And for the curbside, make sure you have it out by 7 a.m. So this is a map of our drop sites and some pictures of some of our drop sites. This is our facility. So you can see that's one of our curbside trucks tipping paper boxes and bags over there. This bottom picture is just cardboard being loaded onto the conveyor. This is, in the fall, we do school tours. So we invite all the 4th graders in Emmet County out to our facility for tours. And the guys on the sort line have fun with it too. So they're dressed up and kind of dancing and having fun with the kids. And then that last one is just a picture of the kids looking at our robots. So we do have robots that work in conjunction with our staff to help sort the materials.
So is everything hand sorted as it goes down the conveyor belt? Plastic?
Most of the
metal?
material is, the steel cans are picked off by a magnet. We have a glass breaker, which is kind of like a screen that the glass falls through, and that's conveyed outside. And then the robots pick a lot of this stuff. But on the containers line, our staff are picking out anything dangerous. So unfortunately, there's a lot of sharps and propane tanks and batteries and that kind of stuff that come across the line. So no matter what program you're in, those things should not be recycled. Anything garbage and anything that's too big. So these are our cartons. So we accept cartons. So that's like orange juice carton, an ice cream carton, anything, any freezer board. So anything if you rip it and it's white in the middle, that can go into our cartons. And then some of the other pictures are just pictures of our finished bales after they're sorted. So after we sort everything out, it's baled into those bales, stored, and then shipped off. So that is a Meyer truck. So when Meyer comes up to the local Petoskey store, instead of hauling back downstate empty, they actually work with our broker, fill the truck up, and take it down to the paper mills downstate. This is just a big list of, we're very transparent in what all of our materials are made into. So we do have, is this on our website?
It is.
So we do have this available for people to really look and see if they're curious of what our stuff's actually made into, where it goes, and what specifically it's made into. And so one of our exciting ones is this picture is composite lumber. So our plastic bags, like I was talking about, all the plastic bags go into one, get tied shut. They actually get sent to Trex Decking in Winchester, Virginia, and they're made into composite lumber. So that's one of the materials, like a specific brand name. Another one is our water bottles are sent down to Clean Tech in Dundee, Michigan, and they're made into Abso Pure brand water bottles. So there are specific brands that we do work with to make sure that our materials are made into new things. Just an overview of our drop-off center. It's big. There's a lot going on there. As I mentioned earlier, all the stuff that we do. So we try to make, Noelle does a great job with the communications, trying to make this stuff easy to read, easy to understand and navigate. Again, these are some of the things that are drop-off only, and then with our education, no styrofoam, no sharps, and no fireworks.
So I'm Noelle, Communication and Education Coordinator, and I would love if you guys ask questions during the presentation. I love to be interactive and engaged. I've been with the Emmet County Recycling for 2 years, and in that time, I have adopted the battery collection program under my wing. We received a grant from the state of Michigan. We're just going to improve some of our marketing materials, update those, make them a little cleaner, less fire. But we went a step further and decided to update our infrastructure. We were collecting batteries at local hardware stores in one green 5-gallon bucket. Well, has anyone heard about lithium batteries and the problem with lithium batteries? If they're damaged or defective, get water on them, they can start fires that are very difficult to put out, have very toxic fumes, and that is detrimental to a program like ours and our staff and our buildings and our hosts that have our buckets. So we want to improve the safety of our program. And we're trying to draw attention to separating those lithium batteries, identifying them, and handling them properly. So we decided to have 2 different colors of buckets, label them very well, and say, here are your lithium batteries, this is where they go. Tape the terminals, which are the metal ends, and put them in this orange bucket because we treat them differently when they get to our facility to go to our end market. And then we have our regular household batteries. So we've had a pretty robust educational program the last year to make sure people can identify lithium batteries, because the statistic right now in your person, you can have up to 5 lithium batteries usually. You've got your watch, you've got your cell phone, your key fob. They're starting to put lithium batteries in shopping cart wheels for tracking purposes. They're coming up in some really funny spots. So we're trying to bring attention to that to keep everyone safe. But also because all of these materials, all kinds of batteries, can be resourced, divided, and made into new things, whether it's new electric vehicle batteries that are lithium, whether it's supplements, or whether it's fertilizer, or other new batteries like alkaline and zinc carbon. So
batteries are made into fertilizer?
yes, they are.
That doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good, but if you think of all the different like elements that batteries are made of, what am I thinking of? The carbon, not the carbon.
I'm not sure what specific.
No, it's not the magnesium.
One of the
I'm not
minerals
really
is
done.
put into fertilizer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very specific, very safe one if you're farming and it says you need to add this to your soil as an amendment.
So
There are things
somehow
in
you take out
batteries.
the, probably magnesium, you take it out of the battery and separate.
Yeah, and they have very sciencey things to do that. I don't know specifically about their processes. Our batteries go downstate to Wixom, Michigan, to a company called Serba. And then depending on the type of battery they are, they go to 3 different locations. The lithium primary go to Ontario, Canada. The lithium secondary go to Ohio, and then everything else stays in Wixom, and they do their magic with it and create new batteries. And there's a lot federally that's going on with batteries. The federal government, EPA, is giving out millions of dollars to manufacturers because we want to keep the manufacturing of lithium batteries here with recycled content instead of going into those maybe third world countries that we might be taking advantage of their population and how we're mining and using all those extra resources. So the government is trying to be very conscientious about how we're doing that and providing for the future with electric vehicles. So one of our other messages, oh yes, please.
I understand that with especially electric car batteries, that they can create almost a complete closed loop. They can
Yes.
reuse all.
So that's what we were talking about earlier with the circular economy. In our 4th grade tours, we draw the chasing arrows, the 3 arrows on a board and say, do you guys know what this stands for? And generally we hear reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Well, it's really you bringing your materials to us, the factories picking those up and making them into new materials, and then you buying that new product that's made of recycled content. That's the circular economy. And a great example is recycling your batteries, which you now know could go to 3 different places, be made into new things, and then you can go and buy those recycled content batteries or fertilizer or supplements, magnesium for supplements. One of our other messages, if you have corroded batteries, those are pretty gross. They hit, sometimes they leak, sometimes they're weird and powdery. Bag those up so no one has to touch them. So that's one of our other messages.
Because when Noelle says no one has to touch them, Noelle personally goes through every
Yes.
single battery that comes through our program. She sorts them, she tapes the ones that need to be taped and makes sure they're in the correct container. So
Yeah, so
she
my-
spends a couple
my
hours a week.
Yes, my statistics that I've sorted through over 1,000 gallons of batteries myself. So I've learned so much about batteries. I never thought that would be my passion, but it is. So we offer these collection points at 8 different locations throughout Emmet County. We have wonderful hosts that we have our buckets there, and I see them every week. We wave to each other. Look at those happy faces. They're so excited to be recycling batteries.
Do you have anybody in Charlevoix County? I
You know,
know Ace used to, but somebody said they quit doing it.
I'm not sure what Charlevoix's program entails. Maybe
They have
Just
a
settings.
hazardous waste day twice.
Okay,
twice
so
a year.
yes, a lot of programs do collect those on their specific event days with other
Yeah.
hazardous materials. So that's one of the programs that we're able to host on site year round so that we give everyone access. So we're able to do that. luckily
And
with our
I will
program.
say for our program, anything that we do other than our household hazardous waste days, and we don't limit it to just Emmet County residents. So anybody can use any of our drop-off options at any time.
Yeah, and our facility is open to everybody too. The only thing that there's a separate fee for are TVs, I think, right? Yeah, the only time we have a separate fee if you're out of county are for TV recycling. So if you wanted to recycle, I guess I don't have a good example.
Or sometimes bulky. I went up with a truck full of stuff and
Yeah,
bulky they charge.
it depends on the material type. So
Yeah.
what we do in general at our facility, we want to incentivize recycling. So garbage has a fee, and if you recycle it, for an example, like rubble, if you were to take up all your parking lot and your sidewalks, all of that material, we charge half the price of garbage. So we have a local excavating company that comes and picks up all that concrete, asphalt, rebar, cinder blocks. What else am I missing? Tile.
Brick, tile,
Bricks.
porcelain.
And that's half the price. So if you sort your materials so it can go to its specific location, you'll save a lot of money.
Another one is mattresses. We see a lot of mattresses come through, and we try to keep those at half the cost of disposal as well.
You do clothing?
Unfortunately, we don't right now. We used to, we lost that market. That's a goal for us to get it back or get a clothing market back. Right now, with clothes recycling, any of the markets, they want resellable stuff. And the way that we look at it is there's enough thrift stores in the area that we don't want to compete with them. We want to be able to take the stuff that the thrift stores don't want. So we're working on finding that market.
Right. Within the last year in the Marshall's parking lot in Petoskey, some big red bins have shown up that take textiles. I don't know a lot about that program, but that is an option. And it just says, have them in a bag and put them in this. It's like a big mailbox. So that's an option.
So I think locally, you're talking about batteries, I think Radio Shack used to, and I
Yeah.
assume they still do.
Yeah, I don't know what's available in Charlevoix. That'd be a good question to pose.
Like the Petoskey Ace Hardwares, if you ever find yourself in Petoskey, you can drop them off there.
Ace Hardwood in Petoskey.
Yes, at both of them in Harbor Springs.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of our other messages, batteries do not belong in your curbside recycling, definitely not in your garbage. That's when we see those fires happen because the garbage trucks have a compactor inside, so they're squeezing all of that material, and that is when those batteries can become damaged and start a fire. We had a fire was that late June?
I think it's
This year?
July, yeah.
Yeah, sometime this summer, and we don't know for a fact that it was a battery, but it is very likely. Luckily, our staff was really quick to respond. The fire department was there. No one was hurt, no equipment was damaged, but that's just a very real example of that happens right here. I think we had 4 last year. So trying to eliminate that. And we do also take any car or marine batteries too for recycling. In addition to all of the other exhaustive programs we have, we also do food scrap recycling. So we offer that both to residents and commercial customers. Residents have 3 locations they can drop off their food scraps if you don't feel like composting right in your backyard. And then we also pick up from our commercial accounts once a week in the wintertime and twice a week in the summertime. And then we do bring out those carts to the farmers markets in the summertime too, to make them more accessible for our residents.
Yeah, so we do the collection from businesses. We'll go to their store or flower shop with our truck. But if residents want to do it, we do have these bins at the farmers markets at our facility, and the farmers markets bins actually do live downtown Harbor in Petoskey. We don't advertise it a ton because of contamination issues, but for people who are invested in our program and we trust them and know they're going to put the right thing in it, then we'll let them know where those bins are located so they can use them and have access to them anytime.
So with the food scraps at our facility in Harbor Springs on Pleasant View Road, we also collect yard waste. So for those that live in town and don't have their woods to go put the leaves in, or maybe they missed the city pickup, You can bring your yard waste, your leaves, your grass clippings, the small twigs out to us. We have, these are windrows. They're huge. They're like mini mountains in the back of our facility. So we have a mixture of yard waste and food scraps that we turn frequently. And in about, I think the statistic is 9 months, maybe a little more. Maybe
More like 2 years.
2
It
years.
should be 9 months.
Okay, depending on our mixture and our temperatures. In 9 months to 2 years, we will have a beautiful finished compost product that we sell. So compost and mulch are the two products that we manufacture on site and sell. Everything else we ship out and other people are making new products.
Is that in Harbor Springs?
This is in Harbor Springs on Pleasant View Road. We're just a mile off of M119. If you go to the ski slopes, you've gone too far. So this is just kind of an overview of what we do in the springtime to get our compost ready for sale. We have a company that comes in, they screen everything, so it's getting anything big out, any little plastic things. We take samples. This is Lindsay, our organics guru, as I call her, taking a sample from the top of the pile, and she and our superintendent, Jana, are smelling the compost. Quality control, right? Making sure that that is retaining the moisture that you want in your compost as a soil amendment. So this is pretty neat. We had someone send in unsolicited their success with our compost. So these are potato plants, and on the right-hand side, our compost wasn't quite ready yet, so they purchased compost elsewhere, and they planted these potatoes. 2 weeks later, they planted the ones on the left with our compost. So this is a really nice visual of what our compost can do for your plants.
Moving on from compost to
Yes.
the complete
I know,
opposite.
yes,
Question on the compost.
yeah,
Where do you sell it?
I'm sorry.
Where is it sold?
So right now, we're only selling it at our facility on Pleasant View Road. In the past, we've partnered with some gardening companies and Grain Train, I think.
We did a sale,
A
like
sale
a one-day
there.
sale at Grain Train.
But consistently, you can find it out at our facility, and we do sell it by the bag, and then you can come in and purchase it by the cubic yard. And I've heard a tale that someone brought their Subaru out with a tarp in the back and just shoveled the compost right into the back of their car.
I think
They
that's
didn't-
happened more than once.
More than once. I haven't seen it myself, but I love that story. I mean, you can get your compost any way you need it. By the bucket, by the Subaru Outback, whatever increment you need that. Thank you. Question?
Used your compost and it's very convenient and great. And tried to recycle the bags there and once was told, yeah, that's great. And once was told, no, we
No.
don't take these.
And so we did end up changing the bag supplier. So the original bags that we got were tied shut, and so we would accept them back. We could refill them. Now that they're sewn shut, they're not reusable, unfortunately.
But still recyclable?
No,
They're not.
no.
Too much soil contamination in them.
Well, it's
for
the woven,
bags?
it's the woven
Oh, they are
material,
woven,
yes.
okay.
So you're generating plastic waste
Yes,
in selling the compost.
yeah, so that's definitely something that we can continue to look into, find a bag that meets the needs of bagging as well as meets the standards of a recyclable bag or reusable.
Yeah. Good point. Good point made. I like it. Yeah. Any other questions about compost? Because now we're, as Andy said, now we're doing a 180 and talking about garbage. So we have a saying at our facility. There's no such thing as away, like throwing it away in the garbage. It goes to on away because that is the location of the landfill. So just kind of some food for thought that you're throwing something in the garbage and it doesn't just disappear. It's going to a landfill, a lined hole, and it may be there for a while. So any questions about, we are a transfer station is basically, we don't operate a landfill. That's all elsewhere over in Onaway.
Do you have any good tips on compostable trash bags? Garbage
That-
bags?
So,
I know they don't hold
It's-
up. Is
That's
it
an
not-
interesting topic.
Yeah.
yeah, so what we try to educate people on is we wanna keep things that are gonna break down out of the landfill. Cause when it breaks down, that's where the methane comes from.
Oh.
So we don't want And we would, in a perfect world, wouldn't want things that are gonna break down to be going to a landfill. So a lot of companies do use the compostable plastic cups and stuff like that. And they're like, at least it's better because it'll break down in the landfill. But when things break down in the landfill, that's where the methane is created. So,
Have the right conditions. It's not
It
gonna,
just gets
it's
buried
not
and
going
lasts
to.
for.
yes.
Charlevoix is very familiar with household hazardous waste events. I understand you guys have a very successful program. 2 days, twice a year or 3 times a year? Twice a year. So I think we contract with the same company, so we have the same rules. We host a company to collect all of our materials. Anything you can think of, like oil-based paint, we take pesticides, herbicides, mercury, anything crazy come through this year? We just had our last event like 2 weeks ago.
Not that I heard of.
But we take batteries all of the time. And antifreeze, motor oil, light bulbs, and electronics, we collect all year round. So usually the people that are bringing hazardous materials are those one-off things like the oil-based paint. What am I missing? Like, other auto, all I can think is, all the garage stuff.
Tires.
What's that? We take tires year round, $4 a piece. Yep. So any questions about our specific program? Yeah.
Back to the compostable cups and forks
Sure.
and things like that. For that to be compostable, doesn't it have to go to some kind of commercial facility?
That's
You
us.
folks do
Yes,
that?
we host that for you. So the certification we're looking for if you're using compostable ware like plates, napkins, silverware, we use BPI compostable. It's a little leaf logo that you'll find right on the packaging. It'll tell you if it's BPI compostable, it can come to our facility. It'll break down in those big mountainous windrows that we have.
The reason we use the BPI certified is because that material is guaranteed to break down in a facility like ours. There's other compostable, basically certifications, but it might need to be ground before it goes in, or it might need to have heat or water added, or it might need to be in an anaerobic digester, whereas the BPI certified is certified to break down in our type of facility.
That's a good question.
And then, you
And
asked
then we
about
had a question
recycling.
earlier about recycling. This is a good picture of what we call on the left-hand side, a zero waste station. So we provide what we call clear streams. They're those Slim Jim looking wire frames here. So we have a garbage, we have a blue one with color-coded bags for easy use, for containers, and then we have green for any compost or food scraps or BPI compostable flatware and all that good stuff. So we have 3 different levels of service. You can fill out a form that says, hey, I'm having an event of 50 people on this date. I'll come pick up some totes and then return them. So we do that for no cost. We can have you, what's our second level?
We'll drop it off, but we
Yes.
will not staff the event.
And then we have a staffing level. If you want us to be there, man the zero waste station, help you figure out where your materials go. So we do offer that service. And there's a nice picture of Harbor Springs at the Paul Revere Run. So we have our totes. Those are where our mixed containers will go curbside. That's what our tote looks like. And then we have the larger carts for all your paper boxes and bags for a visual there. We have, I'm not bragging, a fantastic team of 27 plus 2 part-time that do all of our sorting and driving and answering of the phone and questions and supervising, fixing all of the things. It's a very well-rounded program with some fantastic people that really care. And you can reach us. We love answering questions. We have a fantastic website. We're always answering the phone. We're not robots. So if you have questions, if you want to use our facility, come on out. We're happy to have you. Any other questions we can answer?
What's the next big challenge? What are you looking at that, could be added?
Probably the next big challenge. I mean, there's some materials like the textiles, shingles, some other specific materials that we've used to have or have been looking at for a while that we would like to have back. But the next big thing is a reuse center. So our facility being the transfer station, us being in a seasonal area, we see a lot of people where maybe someone passes away and their kids are up here just for the weekend and they have the weekend to clean out the whole house and they really don't care what happens to it, where it goes. They just want it gone. So they just bring everything to us. We see great furniture, great kitchen items. We see really good stuff coming through our facility, and it really kills us to have to throw that into the landfill. So to be able to take that out and have some sort of reuse center would definitely be a goal of ours.
What about the cost to the taxpayer in Emmet County or whatever?
There is no cost to the taxpayer.
That's, yeah, and my cost of my bags now are up to $50 every time I buy 10 bags. So our cost of getting rid of our garbage, even though I only use 2 bags a month, is going way up. It's up
Yes.
probably 50%. So is the cost of your move to, or taking to Onaway absorbed by this program as well? Or is that a separate?
So we have a 10-year contract with them. So they've, in Emmet County, also raised the rates of collection. So we were lucky enough to be able to negotiate that contract with them. So our garbage prices of what we're sending to Onaway are locked in. So our program is pretty insulated from their cost increases as of right now. But I mean, the cost to do everything is going up, like even where we're sending our recyclables, the hard to recycle materials. So like the mattresses, the paint, the electronics, those materials we do have to pay to send to an end market. We have to pay to have those recycled. And so that's why we do charge a little bit at the gate to cover some of those costs. So for us, yeah, we really, really, really want to educate our community that recycling is half the cost of disposal. The day-to-day recyclables, there's no cost to residents, whether you use a drop site or you're lucky enough to have curbside. So our facility really is a resource in the way that we price even garbage at our facility. This summer, we've seen a huge increase in the curbside garbage collection in Emmet County. And there has been a line all the way down the road outside our facility all summer because people do know that it's an option to bring your bag of garbage to us and kind of bypass the collection side. And people are definitely taking advantage of us trying to keep the prices consistent.
I'll just add to that, Harbor Springs, where I was city manager, there was a payment to recycling for the curbside recycling, giving every Harbor Springs, residential resident the opportunity and the tote to have it picked up from their house at no cost. There was a small, amount paid by
So
the city
it's
taxpayers.
$3 a household a month.
So
For weekly
very,
collection.
very small. And if you took that same material that was recyclable to the transfer station, it would cost you nothing. You could put those materials in the glass and the cardboard and so forth. So it was just a convenience fee that the community, the taxpayers paid to have that as a convenience at the house. But other than that, I still go there frequently with, whatever it is and gives me an excuse there.
How do people bring their garbage to you?
Just in a bag, some bagged garbage, or if they've got a bin in their garage, they can throw the bin in the back of their truck or in the back of their car and bring it in. But a lot of people bring in their 1 bag of garbage a week and they just pay $3.50 to drop it off, and that's kind of their Saturday routine. People,
So it costs $3.50 a week to drop off a bag of garbage.
Right.
It's probably more than what it
bag.
costs for recycle bags and to be picked up locally. I don't think.
but there's no cost to the homeowners to have recycling picked up.
There's no direct cost that the resident is paying to our program. Their township does that. They sign on with us. Does that answer your question?
I thought you said.
It's trash pickup.
Sorry, so for
Is it separate?
recycling, we don't charge anything directly to the resident. For curbside, if you bring your recyclables to us that are the daily ones that we would pick up curbside, there's no cost to that, your cardboard and your cartons. And then for garbage, we charge $3.50 for a 30-gallon bag, which is the standard bag you would buy to have them pick it up at your home.
And I do want to clarify, so we don't do any of the garbage collection. The garbage collection is by a private company.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of private companies that do that, so homeowners have the choice to choose whatever garbage company they want to come pick up their garbage from their house.
Great. I want to thank Andy and Noel for giving us a better understanding and appreciation for recycling the way Emmet County does it and how important it is. Our next program, lifelong learning program, is next week, Tuesday, October 22nd. Trooper Corey Hebner from the Michigan State Police will talk about social media addiction and online scams that are, a lot of them are especially targeted at seniors. And so he will introduce us to ways that we can help keep ourselves safer in our use of the internet. And this program is made possible by Lifelong Learning, the Friends of the Charlevoix Library, and by the generous support of Lynn and Mason Rosenthal. And I would encourage all of you to consider becoming members of the Friends of the Library and explore the many ways that the Friends can help enhance the library programs that aren't necessarily funded by the taxes that you pay to support the library. And some of those are very valuable to the residents, especially children's programs are very much supported by the Friends. But I hope you'll take one of these Friends membership brochures and consider a possible membership or donation to the Friends to help support more of this happening in the future. And I thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. Any other questions? We do have some flyers. If you have a specific topic, we probably have a piece of paper for that.
What's the biggest mistake?
Oh,
The biggest mistake you think most people make
in
especially
recycling?
single stream, yeah.
There's something that I was very, very guilty of before I started working here, and that's something we call wish cycling. And not really learning all of the rules of the local program and like, oh, it's plastic, it goes in here. So that's probably one of the biggest things we see, like hangers going in there. Our basic message is if it had food or beverage in it, you can recycle it with mixed containers. That's kind of the biggest thing we have to educate on. Yeah, I was camping with friends a few weekends ago and they're like, it's plastic, it goes in the recycle bin. I'm like, oh no, think of what it did in its first life.
Yeah.
So I was educating as I was camping and socializing, but I think the wish cycling, so not really knowing if it's recyclable or not.
Yeah.
So that how to recycle QR code is coming up and being helpful, but remember that we love answering questions and I'm sure Charlevoix is happy to do that too and let you know whether or not it's recyclable.
So what's wrong with hangers?
Hangers, so they're different material types, right? So you have the wire ones, those aren't a container, so they're not gonna go in your curbside recycling or at a drop site. We'll take them for scrap metal. And then you have the all plastic ones, also not a food or beverage container. So sometimes the resale shops will take those for reuse, but I'm finding that they're not interested. So at this point, they're garbage. And then the wooden ones are usually wood and metal. So it's a mixed material. So we would put that in the garbage since it can't just go in the scrap metal. Or reuse is always the best option if possible.
It'd be a plastic, so I would assume a plastic hanger would be fine.
Yeah, so for us, our message is if it was a food or beverage container, we'll take it, not just anything plastic.
So you don't take like detergent?
Well, I was
So
gonna
that's
say,
a great, you know what, I have been using
That's
just
how you say
food
food,
and beverage.
but also
Don't
bathroom,
forget Tide
laundry
Pods.
room,
Yes.
any really the household
Yes.
products.
Yes, thank you.
You
Yes,
take.
I just changed my language.
You do take.
We do,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Give those a little rinse. And then
Household.
any other questions we can answer? We're also here.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that
yeah.
it's
It's so hard to get the stuff
self-supporting,
out sometimes.
but the facilities took a huge investment. How did it get started? How did you get started with that?
So when we originally got started, we did have 2 years, a millage for 2 years. to get started. So from 1990 to 1992, we had a millage. And from then on, we do pay depreciation. So every year in our budget, we pay almost $1 million into depreciation for future projects and to replace equipment. A lot of our projects, like new projects, pilot projects, new things, are funded by grants to get started, and then they fall into our regular operating budget.
And that's, and your operating budget includes investment in big machines and buildings and things like that.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's unique, and it's definitely something that we're being challenged with moving forward as things are becoming more and more expensive. Like 7 years ago, we bought a new recycling truck and it was $200,000. So we paid $200,000 into depreciation, but 7 years later, a new truck's $350,000. So we have to make that $150,000 difference. So it's definitely kind of an ongoing battle trying to make that all add up and make the numbers work.
So you need our recyclables.
Yeah,
How about toy packaging? There's a lot of plastic in that.
there is a lot of packaging and plastic, and it's made, a lot of the times it's made up of, like, you've got that thin paper in there, and then you have that plastic that you almost need a special tool to open it because it's so dang hard. We try to keep our message really simple. If it's not a household product, food beverage container, that it should just be garbage. We would love to recycle all of that, but it gets really, if we continue and say, yes, we can take that, there's just so many questions, and then we get more contamination, if that makes sense. So we're trying to keep it simple and take the household goods.
Bottles, cans, cups, jugs,
Yes.
jars.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. Questions?
What was that?
You're doing film wrap?
Yes, yeah, so that goes in with our plastic bags. So that includes like wrapping around like toilet paper cases, water bottle cases, pallet wrap, all of that goes in with our plastic bags. Yep, Merino shrink wrap as well, yeah. That's really how it got started. We started with Merino shrink wrap, and then we're able to grow into other plastic film materials beyond that.
So do you know what that becomes?
So that's what goes to Trex. So all of the Merino shrink wrap and plastic film goes to Trex and is made into composite